So I have met a shocking number of people, especially guitar players, who have no idea how to plug themselves into a soundboard. So today I'd like to go over the basics on how to get your sound from your guitar or your voice into the soundboard. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Welcome to Blazing Guitars. Okay, so to start this off, let's start talking about signal path. So the signal path is the path that your signal is going to take to get from your instrument into the PA. And a lot of guitarists just worry about kind of their signal path to get to an amp or to get to an output. But I think it's important to take it all the way to the PA so that you can help troubleshoot if something happens and that you just have an idea of what's going on. So from your guitar, you're going to have two ways to have an output, and that's either going to be an internal like pickup or microphone that goes to a jack like this, or you're just simply going to mic it. And you probably wouldn't use a mic like this, but I'm just going to use this one today for demonstration. This is a great vocal mic. So you have your signal coming from your guitar, and this one has an internal pickup. So we're going to come to an output jack right here. And from your output jack, you're going to take what's called an instrument cable, and this is most guitars. So an instrument cable, you can see this has one bar on it, right? So this is an unbalanced signal. I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. So you're going to take your instrument cable, and this is a extremely small one, and you're going to take it and plug it into your guitar. Okay, now you have an output and you have an input, right? So the signal is coming out from your guitar and it needs to go into something, and a lot of people can get that confused. So you might go into a pedal, for example. So your signal goes out from your guitar and then into your pedal, and then it needs to go out from the pedal and into something else. So you can have like a bunch of pedals in a row, or you could have something like this, which is the Boss 8010, that has a bunch of output options on it itself. Okay, so you have your output, and eventually, if you are using an amp, what you're going to do is you're going to plug this into your amp, and then you will have a microphone sitting on your amp. But you wouldn't normally use an amp with an acoustic guitar, so you go into something called a direct box, or a DI box is what they're commonly referred to as. And what this does is it transforms your what's called unbalanced signal into a balanced signal. Okay? And the reason that's important is because unbalanced signals can be affected by power cables that run next to them. So they'll pick up interference from extension cables, and they're not as reliable or as quiet as balanced signals. So a direct box will take your unbalanced signal and transform it into a balanced signal. And to run a balanced signal, we can run two different types of cables. So this one's called an XLR, and you can see it kind of has 3 pins. These are super common. So you would plug your XLR and then go into the next thing. Or if you are using a microphone, the mic just takes an XLR right straight into it. So it's super easy, and you don't even need a direct box because it's already an unbalanced signal. You could also use what's called a TRS cable, and these are commonly referred to as speaker cables. So you can see that there are 2 lines on the speaker cable. And this is also a balanced signal. In fact, it's the same signal that an XLR uses. So some devices will even have a special jack where you could either plug in an XLR or a TRS cable directly into it. So that's kind of the most important thing, is to get your unbalanced signal to a balanced signal, most often in the form of an XLR. And some things, again, like this Boss 8010, even have XLR outs, which means that they can already take it and transform it to a balanced output. So you wouldn't even need a direct box in that case. And then again, if you're using a microphone, so if you go out to an amp, or if you're just miking your guitar, you can just go straight from here and it's already a balanced signal. So let's say we're gonna mic our acoustic guitar. So we have our mic plugged in with our little XLR. What we're gonna go into is what's called a stage box or a snake. This is an old snake that we have, and many new ones are actually digital, so they won't have these huge long cables coming out, but they'll just have like a little cat cable. So you plug in your XLR into one of these channels. So essentially what a snake is, it's a group of cables that run together and then all come out onto these ends, which then plug into your mixer. So from there, then the mixer can often send signal back through the snake and out to your mains or your monitors. So that's essentially it. I know that there was a lot of terms there, And if you're struggling to remember, just try to keep focused on the fact that you need to get it to a balanced signal so that you can run it all the way across the room. Because if it stays unbalanced, then you're going to get a lot of interference from everything else. And that's where direct box can come in super handy, or you might even have gear that already transforms it to an XLR out. And then from there it goes into the snake and then into the mixer. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. If you would like to discuss this further, feel free to jump into my Discord channel, which is linked in the description below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week.